To the story, the AmaZulu King, MisuZulu KaZwelithini, says he's ready to serve his nation. He says his biggest mission is to finish what his father and mother started, tackling poverty and unemployment. Now, he is the youngest reigning AmaZulu monarch, having taken over after his father, King Goodwill Zwelithini, passed away 2 months ago. He ascended the throne after the late Regent Queen Mantfombi Zulu nominated him in her will. His coronation has been put on hold, while some members of the royal family have taken the matter to court. eNCA senior reporter Sipa Mandla spoke to the AmaZulu King earlier, and Sipa joins us now. So, Sipa, before we get into the specifics of what he said, watching that interview, he came across as a very confident, composed king. What was it like up close and personal with him?
I think that's the conclusion that we can draw. Of course, this was his first interview, so he was a bit calm, and that person-to-person engagement with him, he came across as someone who's very respectful. Remember, we've been observing him going to Wakengala Royal Palace, where he's been meeting with other members of the Zulu royal family and receiving different delegations or delegates there, if we can put it like that, or business people and other ordinary people who have been visiting Wakengala Royal Palace, basically to pay their homage to him. Basically, he came across as someone who's very respectful, as someone who's very down to earth. Of course, some people will say it was expected that for his first interview there were a bit of nerves, but it's expected. He is doing this interview for the first time as AmaZulu King, so he did concede that yes, there is too much work to be done ahead. So he came across as someone who is very warm in person.
And also, it was quite interesting how he spoke a lot about the Zulu royal family, not only about his wife, who he recently married but has been in a relationship with for a long time, paying a lot of tribute to her, but also the broader family and the need, I suppose, to live up to the meaning of his name, to create unity within a family that is not all on the same page at the moment.
Indeed, and that has been documented in public spats that have been going on between members of the Zulu royal family and different factions within the Zulu royal household. Of course, his name being MisuZulu, the one who will unite and unify and hold together the strong, powerful Zulu nation. And his second name, by the way, is Sinqobile, we have conquered. Those are the tasks that lie ahead for him, to ensure that he unites this divided royal family, and basically he conquers all these obstacles that are ahead of him in terms of unifying the family. Remember, here there is a pending court case that some of his sisters from Mtanda Royal Palace, they have launched some court action in the Pietermaritzburg High Court. They are questioning the signature of his father in that will, which, by the way, led to King MisuZulu being nominated as a successor, because the late King of AmaZulu, Goodwill Zwelithini Zulu, left the throne with King MisuZulu's mother, Queen Mantfombi, whom in turn nominated King MisuZulu as the successor. So that matter is still pending. It's not been finalized yet. Hence the issue of coronation. Every time you mention that court action, there is the issue of the coronation. When is the coronation? Those are government processes that will run separately, but it's interesting to note that in the court papers, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal is cited there, the National Minister of Kokta, and the President of the Republic, who has to sign that certificate of recognition for the new king, is also cited there as a respondent. So while that court action is still pending, King MisuZulu has to basically continue with his royal duties, as the issue of the coronation has not been decided yet. And there has been another candidate who has emerged saying, well, if some members of the Zulu royal family basically support my name and nominate me, I will not say no into becoming the next king of AmaZulu. That is Prince Magade, who is the late king's firstborn son. So there is that is going on, and the king did comment on that. Listen to what he said about these squabbles in the family.
There's something I would like to mention on that behalf, without having to criticize or scrutinize anybody in my family. As much as they can be an opposition to my installment as king, but I do believe that we will come to a common understanding in the sense that because the matter is already in court, I would like not to go too deep with those matters because it's got to do with also government having to work with us in that matter, and many other institutions that do support the royal family. So that matter is a bit sensitive, but just to let you know, I don't have I have great confidence in everything that I do. I have great confidence that, you know, maybe one day Smagate will come back home so that we can work together and take our family and the nation to another level.
All right, so let's, before we chat again, Sipho, let's listen to what he said about the fight to defeat gender-based violence and femicide, which was something that the late King was very passionate about dealing with. Let's take a listen to that clip.
It has to be one of my priorities. As I said earlier, all what my father had put as a platform and foundation for us to work with needs to be completed and needs to be understood the right way so that it's implemented within our culture and within our systems for it to remain that way. So I am, you know, protective over women and children in that regard, even just personally. But this is something that my father had left on the foundational table for us to work with. So it remains no question but a priority also.
He seems like a very certain, confident King. I know that, of course, you interviewed the late King many, many times, Sipho Mandla. Just reflect for us, if you will, on how different it was interviewing the two kings, or were there a remarkable amount of similarities for you?
I think in terms of issues that they both had to deal or have to deal with, and I think at this stage it will be a bit unfair to compare him to his father or draw some similarities or differences, bearing in mind that his father was on the throne for 49 years. Those who knew his father will tell you that during the foundation phase of his reign, they say for about 7 to 10 years, he had some difficulties, but he mastered the art of being on the throne as he grew older. Remember, his father took over the throne when he was just 21 years old. Now, King MisuZulu takes over the throne when he is 46, 47. That is one of the differences that you can spot there, that in terms of times and in terms of age, they are of different ages, and in terms of dynamics. His father took over the throne when there was instability in KwaZulu-Natal. You know, you're talking about issues of political violence at the time, issues of deep divisions. Even the throne itself had some challenges. The royal family was deeply divided. The regent at the time did not want to vacate the throne for about a number of years. So King MisuZulu ascends to the throne now in a different setting. You know, he has these big shoes to fill of his father having ruled for 49 years, and he has to continue with that legacy. But you can tell that there are some qualities in terms of respect and in terms of speaking highly about culture and cultural practices, of which it's something that the late King was passionate about, reviving some of the cultural and traditional ceremonies. So he is taking from that line to say he will with his father's legacy, but for now, only judge him once he has been on the throne for a number of years.
Well, certainly looks like he's off to a great start. Thank you so much. That was eNCA senior reporter Sipho Mandla Goge. Still to come on